Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon, a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. Hey guys, tonight I come live to you because, as we all know, there's breaking news. There's been multiple news reports that Brian Laundrie has gone missing. Authorities, attorneys, they do not know where he is, and I am baffled. I'm completely baffled at how this could happen. Guys, if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And again, tonight has been just a whole bunch of more emotions. There was police and the FBI that pulled up in the driveway of the Laundrie home. They allegedly was called by his parents. Now, one could speculate that the parents called because their son went missing. Now, we would think in ourselves, to our own mind, we would think, did he see the walls crashing in on him and went out and took his own life in a cowardly fashion? That's a possibility. But before I get into this, I want to just say a special thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and everyone who positively interacts in all of these live streams. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to show you just a short bit of media here. This is coming out of New York. And guess what? New York has updated information because Gabby and Brian both were born and raised in Blue Point, Long Island, over in Suffolk County. So these two are from this area. She moved down there about 2.5 years ago to start a life with him. Bugsy Cruiser, thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated. So New York is very much on top of this story. The Suffolk County Police Department was on the story and actually took the missing persons report initially, and then they handed it off to the Northport Police Department down in Sarasota. Hi, Sunshine. Good to see you. Rhonda Hughes. Great to see you. Diane B is in the building. Road Trip Mom. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. So let me share this screen with you guys, and we'll play just a little bit of this media, and then I'll get right back to you. All right.
Tonight, the interview that is raising questions and raising eyebrows in the case of a missing young woman from Long Island. Gabby Petito, on a cross-country trip with her boyfriend, disappeared last month. The fiancé and his parents are clamming up, but his sister is speaking to cops and the FBI and speaking out in an interview with ABC News. Long Island reporter Kristen Thorne live in the Suffolk County hamlet of East Islip with the story and details. Kristen.
Bill, the last time we were able to speak on camera with Brian Laundrie's attorney here in East Islip was 2 days ago. We have not been able to speak with him since. Police say at this point they do not believe that there is any criminality involved in Gabby Petito's disappearance. And Cassie Laundrie, who we spoke exclusively with here at ABC, says she has told police everything she knows. In an exclusive interview with ABC, Cassie Laundrie says she hasn't spoken to her brother since he returned to their parents' home in Florida.
I haven't been able to talk to him. I wish I could talk to him.
Laundrie says she's told police everything she knows about her brother, Brian Laundrie, and his fiancée, Gabby Petito, and their cross-country road trip.
I've cooperated every way that I can. I wish I had information or I would give more. This is all I have is I gave to the police.
Petito's father says he isn't sure Cassie Laundrie is being fully transparent, given the fact that her parents and her brother haven't said one word to police.
I'm hoping that the pleas and the begging and the community and the, entire damn planet knock some sense into her where she's like, I gotta speak.
Police in Northport, Florida, where the Suffolk County natives had been living with Laundrie's parents, are continuing to put pressure on the Laundrie family today by doing more media appearances. But the family doesn't seem to be budging. Neither does Brian Laundrie, who is in a known location to investigators in Florida. Police say they're still processing what.
All right, the reason I played
Raising
this,
eyebrows in the case.
hold on,
Eyebrows in the case of a missing and raising eyebrows
hold on. The reason I'm playing this, guys,
with the story and details.
hold on.
Laundrie, who we spoke exclusively, say Gabby Petito and Laundrie. Laundrie says.
All right, I finally was able to pause it. The reason I played this video, and I know it's just a tad bit old, it's from earlier today, is I wanted to show you guys, I wanted to prove a point, is as of earlier today, and this report was earlier, they said that they know where Brian Laundrie is. Authorities know where Brian Laundrie is. Now, listen, I am the last person to bash the police, but if you have a guy who has invoked the Fifth Amendment from the get-go and came home and for 10 freaking days has not said anything to authorities and not cooperated and lawyered up, if I was the lead investigator, I'd have cameras planted across the street. I'd have cameras, if I could, planted on the neighbors' roofs, watching the front of that home. There's no laws that get broken by making surveillance on somebody. You can make surveillance and you could do surveillance on a private person's property all day, every day. The same way people put cameras in police's face at protests. It's your constitutional right. You don't need a search warrant to do that. And shame. If they didn't do that, shame on them. I don't know for a fact that they didn't, but why in God's name would we now? The next clip that I'm going to show you is going to show us that the police do not know where he is. How did he get away? Unfreaking believable. 99 pink balloons. In my opinion, the Laundrie parents know where both Gabby and Brian are. Are they getting a lawyer next? What an injustice to Gabby and her loved ones. Thank you for that super chat. Hello, Boston camera. It ain't like in the movies. No surveillance on the house. We don't know that for sure, Rick, but it sure does seem like that. All right, let me let the rest of this play, and I'm playing this for a reason.
She's told police everything she knows about her brother, Brian Laundrie, and his fiancee, Gabby Petito, and their cross-country road trip.
I've cooperated every way that I can. I wish I had information or I would give more. This is all I have is I gave to the police.
Petito's father says he isn't sure Cassie Laundrie is being fully transparent, given the fact that her parents and her brother haven't said one word to police.
I'm hoping that the pleas and the begging and the community and the, entire damn planet knock some sense into her where she's like, I gotta speak.
Police in Northport, Florida, where the Suffolk County natives had been living with Laundrie's parents, are continuing to put pressure on the Laundrie family today by doing more media appearances. But the family doesn't seem to be budging. Neither does Brian Laundrie, who is in a known location to investigators.
All right, so we hear it right there. Brian Laundrie is in a known location to investigators. I'll play it again.
To investigators in Florida. Police say they're still pushing to investigate. Does Brian Laundrie, who is in a known location to investigators in Florida. Police say they're still processing whatever they found in the couple's camper van. Laundrie and the van were in Florida for more than a week before anyone even knew Petito was missing.
We've been able to definitely get some material out of that van. We are certainly not at the point of revealing some of that was.
Cassie Laundrie told ABC it was not uncommon for her brother and Petito to fight. Yesterday, police in Utah released body cam video of their response to a 911 call for an argument between the two near Arches National Park in Moab.
What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm just crying. We've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
Laundrie had scratches all over his upper body. Petito was determined to be the primary aggressor. Cassie Laundrie says in her mind, none of that matters.
Me and my family want Gabby to be found safe. She's like a sister and my children love her. And all I want is for her to come home safe and sound and this to be just a big misunderstanding.
Petito is believed to be missing in Wyoming.
All right, let me take this off. Stand by. Thank you so much. Above and Beyond Ancestor Reading sends in a $20 super chat and says, thank you for bringing this to us, DutyRon. You are appreciated. Listen, this is with a lot of love and respect. Don't forget, folks, Gabby Petito's family, her mom, Nicole, her stepdad, Jimmy, her father, Joe, her cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, these folks are all in a panic. They don't know what to do. They have a missing loved one. Now, a great deal of us are parents, and we know that when you're missing, or if your daughter or son is out of your sight for 5 minutes, you panic. So it's really been an emotional roller coaster for these folks. And you know what? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But right now, as it stands, we are at a situation where we have Brian Laundrie on the run. We don't know where he is. How in God's name does that happen? So let me show a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of my Twitter feed here. Let me share this with you guys. So this is CBS New York. Thank you, TJ. Looks like the police are calling WFLA live. Looks like police are calling WFAL live. Yeah, they're live. I'm not going to be able to show that live, but I can certainly let you guys listen to some audio from it. It's just for me, it's heart-wrenching. You know, the attorney for Brian Laundrie's fiance of missing woman Gabby Petito says Laundrie's current whereabouts is unknown. So this is a tweet from CBS, and there you have it. This is earth-shattering, heartbreaking, all of the above. You know, so if the parents called the Northport Police Department, chances are they called them because they want to report their son missing. And now, how ironic would that be if now they're reporting their son missing? This could be potentially the shoe on the other foot. We don't know what's going on at this time. Everything is up in the air. But I could tell you this. I mean, it is. Let me just see what WFAL's got going on. So let's take a peek at this. Why do I not have no volume? All right, let's try something else. Remove. Hold on, guys. You know me, I never give up. Why am I not hearing that audio? Oh well. Kind of weird. See if I have something else here. Melissa, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Let me if I see.
So that's coming up here next, everybody on WFLA Now. Don't go anywhere.
All right, hold on, guys. I think I can push this back a little bit. Probably not. All right. Let me get off of this. Hold on, kids. Let's see what else I got. All right, this is a look at the home outside. You know, we've all been watching WFAL. They've done some great coverage. Here's a tweet from the chief of the Northport Police Department. And the Northport Police Department is the investigating agency on this. So this is a tweet from them. I'll make this a little bit bigger. So this comes in from Chief Todd Garrison. It says, the conversation at the Laundrie home is complete. Once we have the details, a statement will be made. We ask for calm. Please let us work through this, and information will be forthcoming. And that was at just about 9 o'clock, so about an hour ago. Frustrating to say the least, guys. Frustrating to say the least. That's for sure. All right, I got something saved here.
All right, what I need from everybody here is help.
A family begging for answers after a cross-country road trip ends in a mystery. Newly released police body camera video now raising even more questions. 22-year-old Gabby Petito from Blue Point, New York, missing for weeks after setting off earlier this summer with her fiancé Brian Laundrie in a converted white 2012 Ford Transit van with Florida plates.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
The pair documenting their journey on social media, including YouTube.
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today.
But local police found Petito's van and her fiancé Brian at the home they shared with his family in Florida. He returned there without her September 1st.
I got a quick question for you, Ryan. Sure.
On August 12th, police in Moab City, Utah were called to a possible disorderly conduct situation captured in this body camera video. According to the police report, they encountered the couple engaged in some sort of altercation.
We've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of
told me
your OCD?
told me I needed to calm down. Yeah, but I'm perfectly calm.
Petito, who told the police she suffers from OCD, described in the report as confused and emotional and manic.
Don't text each other tonight.
At the officer's suggestion, the two separated for the night. One of the officers concluding the situation was the result of a mental health crisis. No charges were filed.
Yes, they had a disturbance. Yes, it was captured on body camera, their interaction with law enforcement. But beyond that, I don't know what it has to do with the disappearance.
Northport, Florida police say they've talked to the attorney for Petito's fiancé, but Laundrie is not talking, and many questions remain.
2 people went on a trip, 1 person returned, and that person that returned isn't providing us any information.
In a statement Tuesday, a lawyer for the Laundrie family said they are remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment. A lawyer for Gabby's parents, Richard Stafford, saying,
"Please, if you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place. All we want is for Gabby to come home."
Petito's family last heard from her in late August.
I received a text on the 30th. That was the last communication I had.
Petito's parents believe she was last in the Grand Teton Yellowstone area of Wyoming. They reported her missing to Suffolk County, New York police on September 11th. According to the National Park Service, multiple law enforcement agencies are investigating Petito's disappearance. Meanwhile, the search continues for a vibrant young woman excited about living the van life.
I love the van.
We've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far.
Now, nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Gabby's stepfather has now traveled to Wyoming to help look for her, and he asked anyone who may have been visiting the Grand Teton Yellowstone area and taking pictures or videos to go back through them and see if they see Gabby.
Okay, so this is just a little bit older. I just wanted to back this up so you guys can kind of see some of the media that's out there.
Sky condition clear.
That basically that's out there. And again, today's events that unfolded, police, FBI going into the house with brown paper bags. Now, I'm gonna tell you, as a experienced law enforcement investigator, when brown paper bags are being used, it's to collect either blood evidence or any type of dried up fluid evidence. So they could have been in there for multiple different reasons and taken out evidence. It could be some of Gabby's personal effects, or it could be also a combination of both of their stuff for DNA identification in the future. That's just one possibility. So evidence that is electronic in nature could be put in just a plastic bag, cell phone, tablets, iPads, things of that nature. But when they go in with brown paper bags, it's usually serology. It's usually some type of fluid or some type of stuff that needs to go to a crime lab. So that's basically what is going on there. I'm just looking for a little bit of more current information. I know WFAL has a ton of stuff. I'm just looking to see what's okay. Let's see what we got here. So this is from WFAL.
Joining us. I'm the comments that
Can
we
you
were
guys
talking
hear
about
this?
earlier. I was, and Josh, I just want this to be known here.
Let me know in the chat if you can hear this audio by pressing the
part
1.
of my job here is to explain how people
This
are
is the
feeling
public
out there
information
based on
officer.
some of the comments that are
This
coming.
is public information officer. Let me know if you could hear it by putting a 1 in the chat. This is Northport PD.
Of the Northport Police Department and of the FBI, really of law enforcement here in Florida. I really, first and foremost, I appreciate you joining me here to kind of just explain with where we are. And again, a lot of comments out there that are very, very critical of how everyone in the world has.
You might be surprised. You might be surprised that Facebook comments don't really do a whole lot for the facts in just about any situation in life.
Talking about fake.
But Josh, it's not just Josh. It's not just the Facebook comments. You had people out here outside of the home screaming at law enforcement all night. So this is not just one of those stories that's just on people pounding keyboards.
But I get it. I know that people are passionate, but I don't know who the hell goes out to a house to scream at a family when we're in the middle of an investigation that could result in the death of a little girl. So I got some questions about them as well. But at the end, the focus in this case is about finding Gabby. I can tell you that we're doing everything that we can. Anybody who knows where she's at, and now anybody who knows where Brian's at, please give us a call, 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the focus. Focus isn't on what were we doing for Brian. We'll deal with Brian. We will deal with him.
Wow, this
we
guy's
have
hostile.
To find Gabby.
I want to ask this question on behalf of our WFLA News Channel 8 team here, Josh. Did the family call Northport Police and say that they haven't seen Brian since Tuesday? And if so, what time frame on Tuesday? When is the last time the parents saw Brian based on what we know here tonight?
Good question.
Well, you're right. And I appreciate that question. I don't know that we're going to be breaking that news right here. The detectives have been back, police departments in that location for 45 minutes. We're going to get together. We're going to figure out the details. We'll work every ounce of it. There is no stone left unturned in this case. And we'll have that information. Believe me, we are as transparent of a law enforcement agency that there is on this planet. And as soon as we can get something out that we think will help find answers in this case, there's obviously things that we know about that we're not just running right out to whoever to explain and give some of those details out. We have to hold back some of that information, but we try to get it out as quickly as we can, as accurately as we can, in order to help. The final goal here is to find Abby, and if we need to make somebody pay for what they've done, we'll do that too.
Josh, it was 5 minutes before you called in here. And again, Josh Taylor, everybody with the Northport Police Department joining us here on WFLA Now to address all the folks that are joining us here regarding Brian Laundrie's disappearance. I was saying here that I have high confidence in law enforcement here in Florida. I have high confidence from federal, state, local authorities that you're going to track down Brian, that you're going to do everything at your disposal and use every tool and means necessary that you can to track down Brian Laundrie. But my question is, when you do track down Brian Laundrie, what next? What legally is the next step? Because does anything change if you can track down Brian now? At where we were last, he was a person of interest. You could not arrest him or charge him with any crime. So if later on tonight, if you were able to, with 100% certainty, track down where Brian is tonight, what can you do from that point forward?
If we track Brian home, his parents have reported him missing. If we find Brian this evening and pick him up, we're going to drop him back off at his parents' house. We'll attempt to talk to him about this case He has the Fifth Amendment right. The Constitution, we don't rewrite it here in Northport. So we'll go through that, and we will make it an opportunity again for him to talk. We'll find, at the end of the day, we're going to find the answers in this case. We're going to find Gabby, and we're going to find whoever hurt her.
Josh, again, I want to just kind of.
I'm going to talk after this interview, so just stand by, everybody. I'm looking at the comments.
Again, part of my job here, I want to make this clear for all of our audience.
In all due respect, we love our community and we appreciate their input. But right now, unless they have a tip to help us find Gabby, I don't care their opinion on this issue. We are trying to get you. You have some info or don't. All right. And look, I appreciate you putting me on.
Yeah, and I just wanted to let you know again, because this is a story that has grabbed the attention of countless people across the country, that again, it's about giving voice to those people that are clearly frustrated with where we are, and that Brian hasn't given his side of the story, and now we don't even know where Brian is. So I just want to again point this out, that it's my job here to give voice to those who are watching here now.
Wow.
It's what I do here as far as representing them. And I know that your job is, of course, to solve crime and to find Gabby Petito and to bring this to a resolution here. But what do you say for all the commenters here that want there to be progress here in this case? I understand that this is one of the most complicated cases, one of the most complicated cases that I've covered, and I'm sure it's been complicated for your office here. But what do you say to all those people out there that are just wanting Gabby to be found and want there to be a resolution to this story that we can all get behind?
Well, if it's any solace, we have every tool known to man in law enforcement at our disposal. We're working with the FBI, multiple locations, and we'll get answers. It's obviously very complicated. We have a huge potential for possibilities in this case. And we want to make sure we get it right, because we need to find Gabby, or if something happened to her, we need to make sure that whoever did it pays for it. So sometimes that slows the process. Not a bunch of cowboys, not going to go up in there and start breaking the Constitution and doing all sorts of things. We have to make sure that all of this holds up in court as well. So I appreciate you putting me on. I've got to run. I've got a billion other news outlets that are trying to reach me. We give time to you. We really appreciate you. But again, one thing that I just want to leave you with.
Just one question. Yeah, I'm sorry, Josh. Continue. Yeah, there was just one follow-up question that's really important that I just wanted to ask, but please continue.
No, I was just going to say that we are a truthful, honest police department, and that's the bottom line. I'll answer your last question, please.
I understand, and you being on call here with us when we have a lot of commentary, of course, online that is extraordinarily critical. It speaks to the character of your police department, and it means a lot that you're calling in. And I just, again, professionally and personally, I'm just passing that along here to you. My final question here for you: are Brian Laundrie's parents cooperating fully with where you are in this investigation?
I think right now, at the moment, what I'm comfortable with saying is they're cooperating now in the search for their son. So we will do that.
There it is.
He is a resident of Northport, and they are residents of Northport, and we will do our job, and we'll see where that takes us.
Brian Laundrie is missing.
I think I speak, Josh, for all of us here at WFLA and all of our commenters, wishing you the very best and good luck as you continue making progress here in this investigation. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for getting the word out.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
All right. Josh Taylor, everybody with Northport Police. We appreciate having Josh on.
All right. I'm going to pause that. Thank you so much for the wonderful super chat. Christine Live sends in $100 super chat. And she says, the fact that he came back from a joint vacation without her and in her car, and has the ability to avoid any penalty for not answering the basic questions or where she is seems crazy. Why can't they detain him until he answers? She's a missing person and he has her car. They shared that car because they live together. I've answered that question like a gazillion times, but I appreciate it because it's a very good question. And he invoked his Fifth Amendment right for to remain silent. He's got an attorney, and if the police question him under when he invokes his Fifth Amendment, anything he says will be thrown out and can't be used against him. So it's important that we understand that Constitution and that right has been on the books for hundreds of years, for a long time. I want to say what I just heard was shocking. I just heard the public information officer for Northport Police, and he seemed very frustrated. Now, again, I'm not anybody that I'm not bashing the police. I love my police. I'm a retired police officer, an NYPD 20-year vet. But I just heard Josh Taylor, the Northport Police Public Information Officer, tell JB, I don't care about their opinions on Facebook. He didn't say Facebook. I don't care about their opinions on this issue. And he said it really nasty. And then he followed it up by saying, we are a truthful and honest police department. I didn't see where this reporter was saying that they weren't truthful and honest. And he also went on earlier before that to attack all the people in the street. Well, they were trespassing. They were on the Laundrie property. I got to say this. I don't condone going on people's personal property. You could stand in the street with a bullhorn, but if you're impeding traffic or if you're trespassing on someone's property, there's no place for that. I don't think that is going to do any good. Brian wasn't even there anyways, but that you can go in a public space at a park and make a lot of noise down the block. But when you do that, I don't agree with that. But I got to just say this, man, what this public information officer just did was shocking to me. And it just showed me that there is a level of frustration right now in the Northport Police Department because now they have the person of interest is missing. That is up. That is mind blowing. That is up. Listen, we all have our breaking points and we all have human. He's a human. He's not a machine. Okay. But he's definitely frustrated. He definitely exhibited, he was unprofessional there. I couldn't believe how he laced into this JB Benuno from WFAL now, hashtag at HeyJB, who's doing a great job. He's been on the air live for several hours. But, again, I spoke about that Ryan Investigative Group. Good to see you, Billy Ryan. Thanks for joining. I wouldn't be surprised if this kid takes his own life. I don't wish it. I don't say that I hope he does. I just say that it's the coward's way out. And I know a lot of people don't like when people say that, but I feel that he is not going to be able to face the music. And he's demonstrated that for the past, what's today? 17th. So for the past 16 days, he's demonstrated that he doesn't want to face the music. So I say, if I'm a betting man, I would say Brian Laundrie, we may not hear from him again. And I don't wish that upon my worst enemy. Eileen Mary O'Malley, thank you for the $10 super chat. God bless you, Ron, for all you do. I'm just sick about this. This is a horrible case. It is a horrible case. And I agree 100% wholeheartedly. This is a parent's worst nightmare. And I had communication by text message with Gabby's mom. I've offered the help of EquiSearch to her stepfather, her father, her uncle, Mike. I've reached out to each and every one of them in a respectful way once or twice. No more, no less. Just to offer the help of EquiSearch if they need it. And they were very appreciative. They were very respectful. We are fellow Long Islanders. We're neighbors, for Christ's sake. So that was my communication with them. It was to offer prayers, strength, and the services of EquiSearch Midwest or EquiSearch, Texas EquiSearch. Very appreciative, very, very respectful people. I spoke with Gabby's stepfather, Jimmy, when he headed out to Wyoming the first night he was there. I spoke to him from his hotel room by text message, and he was very appreciative. He's very appreciative of everyone's support for his stepdaughter. I have a GoFundMe, an official GoFundMe that I verified from the family. I'm going to link it down below. If you want to support this family in the search for Gabby, they have their work cut out for them. I mean, a look at the park where she was the last known location it's a treacherous area. It's very dangerous for searchers. It's very dangerous for anybody to be out there. And people are going to be searching. So, again, appreciate the super chat. Latasha Edwards. I'm just going to say this. I appreciate the super chat and the message. I wouldn't do it to you. Don't come on to my show with spamming the same comment over and over about Cuomo. This is not the stream for it. You know, let's have some respect here. And I'm just asking you kindly not to do that again. You're welcome here, but you know, if you're coming to my house, please have some respect. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking anybody to jump all over her. I'm not asking the mods to delete her. I'm just saying you did it already twice. This is about Gabby Petito. This is not about spamming my chat with comments about Cuomo. That's bullshit. Just don't do it. And if you do it again, then you'll be blocked. Nancy Eileen, great to see you. Hey, guys, if you're new and first time watching, let me know in the chat if you're new by just putting a new in the chat, and I'll try to highlight it and say hello to you guys. Let me just catch up and see what JB is up
on
to.
here and calling in.
Let's see what JB, he might have ended that stream. All right, let me take a peek. Let's see all the new folks. This is going to be difficult. But I'm going to do it. Let me get back to the beginning of the news and say right there, welcome. Thank you for being new. I'm going to highlight as much of the new as I can, as much as I can possibly, humanly possible. Thank you, Annie. Thank you for being new. I appreciate that. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to this great community where we show love and respect for all victims and their families of crime. And thank you for stumbling across this live stream. I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Hi, Meglo. Much love and respect to you. Thank you for joining. Hi, Patty. Good to see you. Oh, darling. New. Thank you. Could be. It's possible, Cindy. It could be possible. We could head out back out west. You never know. Thank you so much, Black Widow, for being new. I appreciate that. Ali writes, sends in a $10 super chat. I'm with DutyRon. Brian either took his life or is planning to. We can only hope he will leave a note that'll leave to Gabby. But if Brian's a narcissist, he won't tell anyone. I hope that it's not right, but my gut feeling says he won't leave anything. Terrible, terrible. Sean, thank you for being new. Appreciate it. Jimmy, thank you, M. Ray, for being old. Old, I appreciate that. Hi, Lenny. Great to see you. Thank you for joining. Lenny, back to you. The question about if she is checked into a psychiatric facility, HIPAA laws in this case would be probably thrown out the door, and any good doctor or nurse or anybody that's in charge of that can see that this is a nationally covered missing person story. People are looking for her all over the place. And if somebody had her and she was being treated, they would call the FBI and they would say, hey, we have her here. Let's stop this. So the chances of that being where HIPAA and they're protecting her, that's BS. That ain't going to happen in this. Any facility who has her will do the right thing. Unlike Brian Laundrie, they will do the right thing and notify the authorities. Crime and Justice is new. Thank you for joining. I'm Marla. Thank you for being new. Jana, you are not new. Thank you. Thank you. I live here at DutyRon in both Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone are huge and can be very dangerous. Absolutely, Diane, absolutely. So I was thinking of making a live stream. Kerry, thank you for being new. Thank you for joining. Hi, Gag Girl, 1033. Thank you for joining. Hi, L. Okay, a lot of people new, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody is welcome as long as we are respectful to the victims and potential victims and their families, because they could be watching. You never know. So thank you, everybody. Tennessee Girl, great to see you. JB just ended the stream. I see that. Thank you. All right, let me get up to date. Let me catch up with you guys and see what we got. All right, let's look at what's current.
Explain how people are feeling out there based on some of the comments that are coming through on social media. And tonight there have been some people that have been extremely critical of the Northport Police Department and of the FBI, really of law enforcement here in Florida. I really, first and foremost, I appreciate you joining me here to kind of.
This is a replay of the show, so let's hear what you have to say.
And again, a lot of comments out there that are very, very critical of how everyone in the world has.
You might be surprised that Facebook comments don't really do a whole lot for the facts in just about any situation.
Okay, he just immediately dogged Facebook comments. He's mumbling, so I'm going to tell you guys, this is a replay, so it's okay for me to play this because it's already not live anymore. So this was moments ago. He did an interview. This is JB from WFAL now. This is the interview with Josh Taylor, the Northport Police. He just poo-pooed Facebook and said all of the comments are not helpful. He said all of the comments are not helpful. I think that there's a lot of good groups where people are trying to do good things and spread the word and spread messages of hope and help the family. Sharing the GoFundMe, crowdsourcing information is helpful, but crowdsourcing fake and created information is hurtful.
But Josh, it's not just Josh. It's not just the Facebook comments. You had people out here outside of the home screaming at law enforcement all night. So this is not just one of those stories that's just on people pounding keyboards.
But I get it. I know that people are passionate, but I don't know who the hell goes out to a house to scream at a family when we're in the middle of an investigation that could result in.
He's now saying he doesn't know how people go out in the middle of the day screaming at a family. We're in the middle of an investigation. That's what he just said.
Definitely, little girl. So I got some questions about them as well. But at the end, the focus in this case is about finding Gabby. I can tell you that we're doing everything that we can. Anybody who knows where she's at, and now anybody who knows where Brian's at, please give us a call, 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the focus. Focus isn't on what were we doing for Brian. We'll deal with Brian. We will deal with him. We have to find Gabby.
I want to ask this question on behalf of our WFLA News Channel 8 team here, Josh. Did the family call Northport Police and say that they haven't seen Brian since Tuesday? And if so, what time frame on Tuesday? When is the last time the parents saw Brian based on what we know here tonight?
Well, you're right. And I appreciate that question. I don't know they're going to be breaking that news right here. The detectives have been back, police department from that location for 45 minutes. We're going to get together. We're going to figure out the details. We'll work every ounce of it. There is no stone left unturned in this case. And we'll have that information. We believe me. We are as transparent of a law enforcement agency that there is on this planet. And as soon as we can get something out that we think will help find answers in this case, there's obviously things that we know about that we're not just running right out to whoever to explain and give some of those details out. We have to hold back some of that information, but we try to get it out as quickly as we can, as accurately as we can, in order to help. The final goal here is to find Abby, and if we need to make somebody pay for what they've done, we'll do that too.
Josh, it was 5 minutes before you called in here. And again, Josh Taylor, everybody with the Northport Police Department joining us here on WFLA Now to address all the folks that are joining us here regarding Brian Laundrie's disappearance. I was saying here that I have high confidence in law enforcement here in Florida. I have high confidence from federal, state, local authorities that you're going to track down Brian, that you're going to do everything at your disposal and use every tool and means necessary that you can to track down Brian Laundrie. But my question is, when you do track down Brian Laundrie, what next? What legally is the next step? Because does anything change if you can track down Brian now? At where we were last, he was a person of interest. You could not arrest him or charge him with any crime. So if later on tonight, if you were able to, with 100% certainty, track down where Brian is tonight, what can you do from that point forward?
If we track Brian home, his parents have reported him missing. If we find Brian this evening and pick him up, we're going to drop him back off at his parents' house. We'll attempt to talk to him about this case. He has the Fifth Amendment right. The Constitution, we don't rewrite it here in Northport. So we'll go through that, and we will make it an opportunity again for him to talk. We'll find, at the end of the day, we're going to find the answer to this case.
All right. I want to make it clear what he just said. I don't know, because he's kind of muffled. He doesn't have a good mic. So he's probably calling in from his phone. He said if they find Brian Laundrie, that they will pick him up and drive him back to his home. And they will try to ask him questions, but they can't question him about Gabby's disappearance because he's invoked his Fifth Amendment right. So anything that they ask him, even if he was to tell them, it would not be admissible in court against him. So let's just understand that. He's not saying anything wrong here. He's saying if we found Brian, we would pick him up and bring him home. So just want you guys to know that. Don't get mad at him, because that's the law. That's following the law. If they did anything else, they would be scrutinized again for that.
We're going to find Gabby, and we're going to find whoever hurt her.
Josh, again, I want to just kind of speak to again some of the commentary that is out.
For those of you who are new joining, the police do not know where Brian Laundrie is at this particular time. This is the Northport Police Public Information Officer, Josh Taylor. He's not the investigator. And this is JB Bonino from WFAL Now. He's interviewed him probably 30 minutes ago. And this is just a replay of it. I played the audio, and now I'm giving you guys the actual visual of it. You don't have him. It's just a picture of him, and it's the reporter asking the questions. But it gets really heated here right now. And he makes a statement that, like, he makes a statement in regards to people's questions. And he says, I don't care what their opinions are on this case, on this issue. So that's coming up. You don't want to miss that.
Out there. And again, part of my job here, I want to make this clear for all of our audience.
In all due respect,
here we go.
We love our community, and we appreciate their input. But right now, unless they have a tip to help us find Gabby, I don't care their opinion on this issue.
So he said, unless they have a tip for Gabby, I don't care what their opinion is on this issue. An interesting statement. This is not the words that I would use.
We are trying to get you. You have some info or don't. All right. And look, I appreciate you putting me on.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know again, because this is a story that has grabbed the attention of countless people across the country, that again, it's about giving voice to those people that are clearly frustrated with where we are, and that Brian hasn't given his side of the story, and now we don't even know where Brian is. So I just want to again point this out, that it's my job here to give voice to those who are watching here now. It's what I do here as far as representing them. And I know that your job is, of course, to solve crime and to find Gabby Petito and to bring this to a resolution here. But what do you say for all the commenters here that want there to be progress here in this case? I understand that this is one of the most complicated cases, that I've covered, and I'm sure it's been complicated for your office here. But what do you say to all those people out there that are just wanting Gabby to be found and want there to be a resolution to this story that we can all get behind?
Well, if it's any solace, we have every tool known to man in law enforcement at our disposal. We're working with the
He said we have every tool available known to man in law enforcement to find Gabby.
FBI, multiple locations, and we'll get answers. It's obviously very complicated. We have a huge potential for possibilities in this case. And we want to make sure we get it right because we need to find Gabby, or if something happened to her, we need to make sure that whoever did it pays for it. So sometimes that slows the process. Not a bunch of cowboys, not going to go up in there and start breaking the Constitution.
He's saying the police department is not a bunch of cowboys. They're not going to go in there, break the Constitution, break the laws by effectively going in there and dragging them out. I mean, we all listen, by a show of hands in the chat, by putting a 1 in the chat, who would like to see him dragged out, questioned, put under a hot light, and questioned until he there's even some people that sent me messages, DutyRon, why can't they waterboard him? I've seen messages like that in my inbox. But we're all frustrated. We want him to be dragged in there, but you can't go and do it once someone invokes their Fifth Amendment and they have an attorney representing them. It's just a lose-lose. So a lot of 1s in the chat, and I understand it. We're all frustrated. Let me let this finish. And it still gets a little heated here. And it looks like this reporter has hit a soft spot with Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor was not holding back.
And doing all sorts of things. We have to make sure that all of this holds up in court as well. So I appreciate you putting me on.
So he said, we want to make sure everything holds up in court. And I agree with that. I don't want them to bring somebody in and question them and have the case thrown out. So we are human beings and we want information, but a lot of times the information, it can't get out before everything's put in place. So
Ron, I've got a billion other news outlets that are trying to reach me. We give time to you. We really appreciate you. But again, one thing that I just want to leave you with.
Just one question. Yeah, I'm sorry, Josh. Continue. Yeah, there was just one follow-up question that's really important that I just wanted to ask, but please continue.
No, I was just going to say that we are a truthful, honest police department, and that's the bottom line. I'll answer your last question, please.
I understand, and you being on call here with us when.
So he made that statement. We are a truthful and honest police department. I mean, I don't know if you guys could hear that legibly. I know his voice is kind of muffled, but he basically said, we are a truthful, I wrote it down, an honest police department. I don't know where that came from. I guess he was just piggybacking on if they were to go in there like cowboys and drag this guy out and beat him and beat the confession out of him, that it wouldn't be a good look.
And when we have a lot of commentary, of course, online that is extraordinarily critical, it speaks to the character of your police department, and it means a lot that you're calling in. And I just, again, professionally and personally, I'm just passing that along here to you. My final question here for you: are Brian Laundrie's parents cooperating fully with where you are in this investigation?
I think right now, at the moment, what I'm comfortable with saying is they're cooperating now in the search for their son.
So he just said they're cooperating now on the search for their son, meaning Brian Laundrie. So that confirms officially Brian Laundrie is now missing. And I guarantee you there's a missing persons report being prepared at the Northport Police Department. And that very shortly, either tonight or tomorrow morning, that's going to be the new breaking news. It's going to be missing person report filed by the Laundrie family. And that's what I got from this.
We will do that. He is a resident of Northport, and they are residents of Northport, and we will do our job, and we'll see where that takes us.
Okay, he said the Laundrie family is residents of Northport, and he is a resident of Northport. We will do our job. So they're going to have another open missing persons case. So let me reel it back in. I think that was enough for that. I'm going to come back in, and I just want to say hello to you guys. I have a special guest. Joining us from Police Off the Cuff is retired Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon. He's got 27 years of law enforcement in the Manhattan North Homicide Squad. Bill, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you coming. I know it's past your bedtime, but I appreciate you coming on in here. I've got an echo. I got an echo. All right, we're gonna wait while Bill works that out. He's putting his headphones on, and that's going to take care of it's a rookie mistake. Sergeant Cannon just made a rookie mistake, but we're going to forgive him. We're going to forgive him for his rookie mistake, and I think now it'll be good. Hey, Bill, thank you for joining.
You know, DutyRon, I've been listening to a lot of this stuff, and I appreciate the. Yeah.
You're on. You're on.
Yeah, I appreciate the frustration of law enforcement.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I was just saying.
Technical difficulties. I'm going to remove him and have him come back. I'm going to ask him to come back in. I'm going to hold on. Hold on. Bill, you got it? Are you good?
In.
All right, good. Well, I can hear you perfectly. You were saying you appreciate you're looking at the frustration from the law enforcement. You just saw the clip that I played. What was your take on the public information officer there? He was really going back and forth with that reporter.
DutyRon, I think that I think they're very frustrated. I think they're very frustrated. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what's going on with Bill, but hopefully he'll leave and then come back in because he's obviously either not hearing me or, he may be having just a little technical difficulties. Tori Hartman, great to see you in the live chat. Thank you for joining. Bill was saying that, again, it's frustration because, when you have a person of interest and you name somebody as a person of interest, it's the job of, without me giving away the shop, it's the job of the investigating agency to keep some eyes on him. Again, he was free to travel about the country. He was free to even go out of the country if in fact he wanted to. But the FBI, that's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, folks, they have so many resources available to them. They have so much secret squirrel technology. They have so much things that they could do. I'm not going to even go into it because I don't want to give our fellow bad guys a little heads up. But I'm going to say this. I'll make a general statement. It is up to the investigating agency, which is the Northport Police Department and the FBI, to keep eyes on a potential subject. He could potentially wind up being not just a person of interest, but a person that gets arrested. So again, it's a ball drop on a colossal level, and we're going to find out more because this seems like a very transparent police department. Northport PD, they seem like they're very transparent, and they're going to give all the information. We're going to probably have a presser tomorrow in the morning. They're going to probably tell us what's going on, what happened, what the case is, what's going on with it. All right, joining us now again, I'm hoping that Sergeant Bill Cannon, I know he's a boss and he's a supervisor, but I'm hoping that he can pull it together and get on as a guest here. So joining us live again is Sergeant Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff. Bill, how are we doing? Did we work it out?
I don't know. Can you hear me, DutyRon?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. One of the things that many people in the whole YouTube world.
We can hear you.
Okay. One of the things that everyone seems to be frustrated about is the inability of the police. Yeah, I hope so.
We hear you. We hear you, brother.
Okay. It's the inability of the police to, I'm hearing what was recorded before as I'm talking. Anyway, what people are frustrated about is the inability of the police to break the law. and they're not allowed to break the law. They have to react within the parameters of the law, and they just can't pull Brian in and interview him because he has counsel. And I think that people are frustrated by that.
There's no question about it. And I know that you're probably hearing an echo, or you're probably hearing yourself repeating yourself. That's a setting within StreamYards on your end, but you're coming through perfectly. We hear you perfect.
Okay.
Once someone invokes the Fifth Amendment to right to remain silent, which has been on the books for, I talked to Joe Murray yesterday about this, that constitutional right has been on the books forever. Okay, that is something that police of all walks have to deal with here in the United States. But in this situation, there's no evidence for them to come forward and make him not just a person of interest, but someone who is going to be brought in and questioned and possibly arrested. They don't have that yet. And if they did have that, you could bet your bottom dollar that he would have been already brought in with his attorney. It's not that if you invoke your fifth and you get an attorney that you can get away with the crime. It's just that the police need to have the pieces of the puzzle in place so they can effect a lawful arrest. And I know you're getting the echo, but work through it because everybody could hear you perfectly.
That's absolutely true. And the police have to go by the law. Today, there was a recording. One of the channels spoke to the defense attorney, Ron Kuby, who's a famous defense attorney in New York. And he said that, look, that's the rights of a person accused. If they invoke counsel, the police can't just forcibly pull the guy in and violate his rights.
Yeah,
so it's just, I know it's frustrating for everybody, but that's the law.
Yeah. And listen, a regular person who has never done investigations, they would say, and it's arguably 100% understandable, why isn't this guy being hogtied and dragged in? We know that he left his fiance in the middle of nowhere. We know that they have a past history on the 12th of August of domestic violence. It wasn't 100% her as the aggressor. It takes two to tango. And somebody like himself, in my eyes, he seems like somebody who is a very controlling person, and he's controlling a lot of the different moves that she's making. She seemed like a clean freak. She said she had OCD. She said there was a couple of other things that she had going on. Listen, my wife cleans my house. If I drop crumbs on the kitchen floor, I get yelled at. Okay, that's not any reason for me to beat her or God forbid, leave her in the middle of a desert. I feel like, they were living in such tight quarters, and it's been over a month that they were out on the road. They left, don't forget, July 2nd from Blue Point, Long Island, out in Suffolk County. When the police were called to the scene, it was August 12th. So it was just a little bit over a month that they were together in that van. Okay, you can add a couple of days on the trip from Florida to New York. So that might be a day or two. So argument's sake, just a bit over a month, they were together. In a small enclosed quarters like that, you can have disagreements. You can talk about, getting on each other's nerves. You look at their Instagram, you look at their her YouTube channel. He's laying down and she's right there. So they were right on top of each other. It's really, it's something that you can understand a young couple having an argument, but it doesn't lead to death or a person just disappearing. And we hope that she's not deceased. But as the days go on, Bill, it gets tougher and tougher for a live recovery as the days go on.
DutyRon, I just wanted to comment on the car stop that initiated the interaction between the police and Utah and between Gabby and Brian. They were following him and they saw him. He hit a curb. Maybe they noticed there was some kind of altercation inside the vehicle. But I think that the police there did a good job. I think they did a pretty good investigation. And obviously, people now wish that something else would have transpired. They wish that maybe someone would have gotten arrested in that encounter because there was evidence of a physical altercation. However, one of the things they did, which was smart, they separated the two of them. They spoke to Gabby privately. She admitted that she had some OCD and that they were having some problems between them. But if anyone was going to be arrested in that situation, it actually would have been her because she was what we call in the law enforcement business the primary thinking of the word right now, the primary aggressor. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of it. The primary aggressor, and she really was the aggressor. But when the officer smartly asked her a question, what was your intention when you hit him? Was it to cause a physical injury, or was it what? Tell me what it was. And she said, no, it wasn't to cause a physical injury. It was to get his attention or get him to stop doing something. So for there to be an assault, there has to be an intent to cause a physical injury. And because of, in her own words, she said, no, I had no intent to do that. There was no arrest made. And the officer smartly used those words because he knew it was on his body camera. And he can hang his hat on that because, after the fact, law enforcement agencies and the press and people, they want to put blame on someone. But I think overall, the police that did that stop, they did a pretty good investigation. And now we can use 2020 hindsight and say, oh, no, they should have made an arrest. But I think that they did a pretty good investigation.
I tend to agree with you on that, Sarge. And you know what? The thing of it is people say to me, hey, DutyRon, what do you think? What would you have done if it happened in New York? The fact of the matter is it didn't happen in New York. We have a policy here in the NYPD is when it's a domestic like that and there's an injury, we call a supervisor to the scene or we make a summary arrest and then call a supervisor to the scene. There's no conversation like what they had there. Those officers worked very patiently with interviewing. It took over an hour for them to settle up everything, and they finally came to a decision to separate them. And I'm sure that a supervisor was called because there was a lot of conversation on a phone. You can't compare what goes on in a major city as to what goes on out in the middle of the wilderness, really, a national park right there. Again, I feel that they did a good job, and I concur with what you said. But again, most people will look at this and say, if they would have arrested one or both, maybe she would have still been alive or she would have been not missing. If they got arrested, they would have been in overnight in jail, and they would have both of them got out, and they would have both been back together. So that wouldn't have separated them. They would have gotten back together, and whatever would have unfolded would have unfolded. So I don't think it's a good idea to Monday morning quarterback these things. But again, every department does things differently. And that question that he asked her, he said, take your time because this is a very important question. And how you answer it will determine what we do. And she still answered that question very fast. She said unequivocally, she said, no, I had no intention of hurting him.
I thought it was a brilliant question for the officer to ask because she answered it correctly to the point where, all right, there's no arrest now. And it also covered him in regards to doing the right thing, which I said that they did do the right thing within the parameters of the law. Now, of course, a million people can Monday morning quarterback them, 2020 hindsight, all the things we know that police are always under the microscope for. But, one of the things I mentioned on my show was like, I couldn't believe how nice they are during a car stop. I go, I was never that nice in New York City.
But we were dealing with a little different clientele on some of this.
I think so, yes.
I'm going to show a quick clip here while we're hanging out. This is from Fox 13. And I'm just going to, I don't think it's long, so I want to disturb me. Again, for a police department and for the FBI to put out to the local media that we know where the person of interest is as early as today, and then the parents saying that he has been missing since the 14th, which is Tuesday. Now, I don't believe a word that the Laundrie family says. I don't know about you, Bill, but they stink to high heavens. They've been evasive. They haven't been cooperating. So as far as I'm concerned as an investigator, I think they're full of, and I don't believe a goddamn word that they're saying. I know that the son is probably missing. They made the report, but if they said they haven't seen him on Tuesday, I don't believe it. I don't believe a word that these people say. You can crucify me in the comment section. You can crucify me in the chat. I don't give a shit, but I do not believe these people. They're not honest, and their son is a piece of human garbage. And I don't care what his status or condition is right now. He did not come forward with the person that he said he loved and wanted to marry and spent their whole high school together. Don't forget, these two grew up together. These are not just people who met on the internet. They went to high school in Blueport, Long Island. So what's with these people? I don't believe a goddamn word that they say. What's your feelings on it, Sarge?
You know, DutyRon, one of the first things I want to talk about also is that whole term person of interest. That's not a police term. That's a press term, you know, and the press are like vultures and they're always, oh, is he a person of interest? They invented that. There's no police department that has in their patrol guide person of interest, but that just holds the press off from asking even more ridiculous questions. Of course, he drives home in a van without his fiance and doesn't report her missing. 10 days go by and her family reports her missing. Yeah, he's obviously a suspect. Let's call him what he is, a suspect. Person of interest, again, it's a press term. You throw it out to them so they stop, you know, circling above like vultures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think the family, of course, knows exactly where he is. His lawyer knows exactly where he is. It was probably a choreographed thing to get him the hell out of that house, because what they got outside the house is what they expected.
A lot of heat.
Yeah, a lot of heat, people protesting, people screaming, and they got him out of there. But you know, they're really covering for him. That's all, you know, that's all you can really say is they're covering for him.
Yeah, it's a lot of hogwash, as I say. Hey, by a show of hands in the chat, by just either putting your hand up or number one, who agrees with me that the Laundrie family is less than honest and is somebody that I wouldn't take their statements as something that could be etched in stone? Because from day one, they hid their son for 10 days. They hid the fact that Gabby didn't come back with them. They didn't even give a shit. So by placing a 1 in the chat, let me know that you're with me. If you're not, press a 2. And I respectfully understand that people might agree to disagree. It looks like we got a whole bunch of 1s going on in the chat. I think we all can agree to this. Police and the FBI have to look at this family and say, hey, these are not people who I would bet in stone that their words are truthful. They've been evasive from day one. And Brian has just proven himself over and over again to not have a heart, to not have any common decency for humanity and a human life, no less the life that he committed to spending the rest of his life with. They were engaged. I don't care what, if it was a loose engagement or whatever the case may be. They're 22 and 23, but they grew up together. Come on, folks. Look at what's going on here. Polka Dot Sudan, love and respect as always. You know that. Lisa, number 2 coming in, and I get it. But I'm going to tell you, mark my words, this whole thing is going to come to a head, and you're going to see that this young man, and I don't even like to call him a young man, this savage left or potentially did something nefarious to Gabby Petito, because if he didn't, she would be home right now. And that's really that's it in a nutshell, folks. I can't really say too much more. And Bill here at Police Off the Cuff, Bill Cannon, retired NYPD sergeant, you have to go over and check out his channel. Him and Phil Grimaldi, straight out of Brooklyn, they're doing coverage on this case and many others. I implore you guys to go on over and subscribe to Police Off the Cuff. These guys are putting out great information from a police perspective, and you can't get it any better than that. You know, when I saw Bill and I saw his podcast and his channel going, I subscribed immediately, and I had to reach out to him and make friends with him. I had to set him straight a little bit on the YouTube's
the etiquette of YouTube.
I had to tighten him up. I had to tighten him up a little bit.
That's true. You know, DutyRon, thank you so much for all you do and all you've done for me and all I know you'll do in the future. But this, you know, we just have to count on law enforcement and the talent of law enforcement and their investigative talent to come to a positive conclusion to this case without any cooperation from Brian or his family, because we're not going to receive cooperation. He's obviously hiding behind counsel, and something nefarious has happened.
Right.
And they're going to have to find that out through investigation, through boots on the ground, through canvases, through electronic surveillance, through the cell phone, through canvassing for witnesses.
Right.
So that's the old-fashioned way. Put on your gumshoes and start wearing out the shoes. You know,
exactly. Boots on the ground and good old canvassing, good old looking for surveillance along the route, along the way. You know, this is all work that takes a lot of time. But I got to say this: the FBI's forensic lab, and you know this as well, Bill. I don't have to tell you this, but I want the listening audience to understand the actual amount of CSI type capabilities, the computer crimes lab, the forensics lab of the Federal Bureau of Investigation is top notch. We had our good friend and partner, Barbara Butcher from the New York City Medical Examiner's Office. She's the chief of staff. She works hand in hand with these CSI type guys from the Fed, state, and local. And she said it herself on my show and on Bill, on Police Off the Cuff show. They can work magic, and we're going to rely on them to work magic, because if now we have Brian out of the picture and he doesn't return back, we now have to put the pieces of the puzzle together without any help. So again, this makes it quite a bit more challenging, but not impossible. Not impossible. Know Who sends in a $10 super chat, and she says, do one or either of you think that the police are treading lightly in the wake of recent events in this country, defunding, etc.? Bill, I'll let you take that.
No, I don't think they're treading lightly. I think that, during the car stop, I was a little taken aback with just how polite they are. As I said, I was never, ever that polite on a car stop. In New York City, you view a car stop as a confrontational situation, right, and you're never that nice because you want to almost be intimidating in certain situations. But no, I don't think the police are treading lightly. I think they're trying to do everything correctly. They've made some mistakes early on, and we got to make sure that in the future we get it right.
Right. Somebody in the chat said, and you know what? I'm not going to say that this is a trollish comment because it's actually valid. A lot of people have asked, is this a YouTube hoax? Because we've seen other big YouTubers try to pull off stuff like this, disappearances. And we've had the Etika situation where he committed suicide and drowned himself in the East River. But he had previously, on numerous occasions, a big YouTuber faked his suicide. I don't think that this is the case here at all. I don't think that Gabby Petito and her fiance plan to make this big hoax to build their YouTube channel. I don't think she would do that to her parents. I don't think that she's that heartless to do that. And I think that that is, as I say, hogwash.
Someone just said in the chat, I think that the police should stop talking to the media. The media in a case like this is your best ally. Yeah. You really need the media, and the police need to use the media, play the media like a violin, get them to do your bidding, get them to constantly keep Gabby's photo out there, keep the story out there, and someone heard something or saw something, and that's what we're going to depend on.
Absolutely, Bill. And, letting this, as the media is saying, person of interest, as letting this guy, letting Brian get away and not knowing where he is, yeah, that sure is a oops thing. But we don't know exactly what the FBI and investigating authorities have. Maybe they do kind of know where he is and they're just not letting it out there. But we did hear the public information officer say that they did not know where he was. So I'd have to go on that they do not know where he is and he did slip out. That to me is a big oops. Bill, I mean, you were a supervisor for a long, long time in the NYPD. You probably never worked a case like this where someone's invoked the Fifth Amendment and never, didn't show up to speak with the police. But what's your thoughts on surveillance, say from the neighbors' homes? Were they monitoring Nest cams? Were they given permission from neighbors to have a view that's already in place? Things like that. Would that be ongoing?
Look, he's a suspect, right? Yeah. I think he should have had 24/7 surveillance. And every movement he made, they should have followed him, stayed with him. So is it an shit that he got away? Yeah, shit.
Yeah, big time. Like we see in some of the movies, and I hate to refer to movies, but a lot of people can relate to it, like Stakeout, where you have these two detectives that are sitting and watching a location. Something like that should have been in place. And if not, in this day and age of electronic surveillance, I said, you don't need a warrant to put or use a person's camera that consents to it across the street and give them direct access to look straight across the street. It looks like flat land, straight looking into the front of the house where the driveway is. I would definitely look at that as if it was my case, I would look at that to put that in place. We used to do it in the housing projects in in East New York. We would take a vacant apartment and watch the drug dealers dealing drugs, and we would go down and get them, you know. And this should be something that they should have looked at, but it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it. Listen, at the end of the day, we hope that the family of the Petito family gets some closure and gets answers, the answers that they need. Her mom, Nicole, is distraught. She hasn't slept since September 11th, since she reported her daughter missing. Her stepfather is in Wyoming. I'm sure he hasn't gotten good sleep. And everybody in the family, her father, Joe, these guys are... I wouldn't wish this on my worst nightmare. And we talk about this a lot. And I appreciate everybody's positive comments in the chat. I will go back and review the chat. Any disrespect, I got to get rid of it for the family. So that'll be something that it will be a little work for me to do tomorrow. But I'll review the chat. And if there's anything disrespectful towards the family or the victims, again, I'll just get rid of it out of respect. Bill, anything that you want to add? I know you did a live today with Phil at around 4:30. What did you guys talk about? And anything that you can add to this show?
Well, Phil brought up the possibility that, law enforcement is looking into that double murder in an area where Brian and Gabby were. If law enforcement didn't look into that, they would be remiss in their investigative duties. They absolutely have to look into that. Whether it's related, I don't know. But as I said,
I have an update on that, and this was as of right before I went live. They ruled out the investigating body that was investigating that double homicide, the Moab Police Department. They ruled it out. That they said it had nothing to do with this. So that wasn't, when you guys spoke about it in the afternoon, that was still on the table. But I did a little research before I went live. You know how I do it. I got my.
You're a good researcher, Ron.
Listen, I'm a detective. I'm a New York.
You cross the T's and dot the I's. That's for sure. That's great.
I don't. Okay. But anyways, I know a lot of people like the DutyRon bleep board. I don't like to use it that often because people that use the headphones are like, ah. So yeah, much love and respect for everybody here in the chat. I'm going to close it up by saying, listen, these investigations and something like this is not like anything we've ever seen before in recent past. I don't remember, something this complicated and this massive in areas. Like, if you think about it, once a search gets going and it's a real heavy search gets going, you're talking about a massive amount of area that's dangerous to search. So I would say drones will come into play here big time, because you got peaks and valleys and you got drop-offs where it's dangerous for foot searchers. You got all different kinds of snakes and wildlife that are out there. I feel that the drone technology is, I spoke to Gene Robinson from Equisearch, and Gene told me, Ron, this is a classic case of drone searching 101. You need to have drones in this search to cover the maximum amount of ground with the minimum amount of danger to searchers. So I think that's going to come into play, whether it's law enforcement that uses it. And I hope the Park Service, the federal parks or state park service, has drone capability, because I would imagine that they do have that. I've been on the phone with Gene and Dave and Twyla talking about this case every day since Sunday. So we talk every day for at least an hour, and we go over all of the the background on this and what it would take if we did get the call. We need, again,
Ron, one of the things though, you would hope that we could narrow down the search area to a workable area, because right now it's so vast and so many miles, because we have nothing that can help us narrow it down right now. And that's why we need someone to talk.
Yeah. And if we don't have a conversation, or we don't get to talk to Brian for whatever reason, if something goes down where he, God forbid, takes his own life, that's a big blow to this investigation, because like I said, then that makes the guesswork a lot stronger, and you got to go out and look for now evidence from cameras in the DOT off the highways. You got to look at last cell phone pings and locations and triangulations and things of that nature. So the police and investigators have a lot on their hands. But Bill, I want to say thank you so much for taking out. We didn't schedule this. We didn't say, hey, come on. I just asked him, hey, you want to come on? And this is Bill is a guy who's like, hey, this is something I'm covering. We're covering it together. and he jumped on. So I greatly appreciate that, Bill.
It's an important case, and I
So-
think that if we can shed some light, even for the folks out in YouTube land, I think it's important to give people an idea of what the police are doing during this.
Absolutely. And I did answer as many questions as I could. The conversation about could he get charged with stealing the car? No, they both were in possession of the vehicle. They both used it together. They lived together. They both used the vehicle. And, again, if the car's not reported stolen, he didn't steal it. So, that's the situation. We would love to see them be able to use that as leverage, but it's just not even a possibility. So, Pat Cook sent in a super chat and says, since Brian went missing, since Brian went MIA as a suspect, if he's found, can he be forced to talk? ? And is it a crime to disappear while he is a suspect? I can answer that. I don't think it's a crime for him to disappear, because if he is found, then he really didn't disappear. There's nothing on the books that says he can't go somewhere without telling people for a couple of days. But if he never shows up and doesn't come back, that's a whole nother story. Right, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, look, he can't be held unless there's probable cause to arrest him.
Right.
And there is no probable cause right now, so he's free to go. I mean, is it strange that he's disappearing? Well, his thoughts are probably to get away from his home, where all the pressure and all the attention is on his home. He could be staying, I don't know, maybe they own a vacation home, maybe they own some other place where he could stay anonymously, and that's probably where he fled to.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the chat to see if there's any comments. But listen, I want to just thank everybody for being here and being in the chat and being respectful. You guys have been great here tonight. We've been on an hour and 30, and that's probably a lot more than what I wanted to do here tonight. So guys, as I like to always end these, please remember to subscribe to Police Off the Cuff, subscribe to DutyRon, go over to DutyRon.com. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all one word, DutyRon. Let me know here in the chat right now if you enjoyed this live stream by just giving it a thumbs up or just saying thank you or whatever. And also, after the live stream's over, please put comments down below in the comment section. I love to have a conversation after the live stream. And while you guys leaving comments down below, it helps for me to continue the conversation that we just had here. So if you want to engage with me and continue the conversation, leave a comment. Do it on all the videos, like, share, subscribe. And guys, as I always like to end all of these live streams, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But most importantly, all victims of crime and their family. And Gabby Petito and her family, much love, strength, and respect coming from myself, Sergeant Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff. Good night from New York, and good night from Police Off the Cuff, somewhere way upstate New York. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for joining. Good night, folks.